Hank, I'm covering that Texas-Michigan game. I look up and Myron Charles has flipped his commitment. Was that game so impressive to Myron Charles that he said, I got to be a part, I got to wear the icy whites? Hank, tell us about this development.
Yeah, so I think if you've been following along, ever since Myron Charles committed to Florida State back in the summer, that's been the one guy I think we've most consistently reported that Texas is staying on. Like they weren't letting up on him. At the end of July, ahead of that Texas Bash pool party, the expectation was Myron Charles was going to visit for that. Josiah Sharma as well. We saw Josiah make the trip, obviously flipped on that visit. Myron Charles was unable, but still plan to get back to Texas soon. A couple weeks ago, he set that Texas-Georgia visit. Still hearing, Texas pushing full throttle for him. And, of course, we saw Florida State off to kind of a shaky start. A very shaky start for Florida State. We've seen them suffer a couple decommitments. Myron Charles, I think, was already feeling the heat from – or not feeling the heat, feeling the push from Texas. Couple that with Florida State struggles, Texas looking awesome. I think, in his post-commitment interview he gave to Brian Doan on 24/7 Sports, he said he intended on going into the weekend committing. He just picked right after the game to do it. So he probably would have gotten a little bit more pub had he waited until Sunday. But, hey, like you said, maybe he got really excited watching the Texas defense and wanted to go ahead and do it. But nonetheless, something we were kind of expecting. And 6'4", 295 pounds, exactly what Texas needs in this class. Big bodies that can move. And having him and Josiah Sharma, I think Texas still probably needs to get another guy or two at that interior spot, just with how the numbers are shaking out. But yeah, massive get for Kenny Baker. Both of the big misses in the summer you could probably point to being Josiah Sharma and Myron Charles, just from a positional need, and they've corrected that. They've gotten them both in the class here by early September. So, huge win. Again, a kid that, 6'4", 295, that's verified. That's going into his junior season too. So he's a big kid. He can move really well. He's got good bend. Certainly, somebody they can get in the program and develop. Big win for Texas landing Myron Charles.
Hank, you said that you were going to go check out Michael Terry last week. Did you see that, and how did it go if you did?
Yeah, so I went down there. Alamo Heights was playing Churchill, so it was 5A versus 6A. But, Alamo Heights, I think most people expected them to win. And, it started off a little shaky. They had some trouble getting off the snap. Churchill took a 6 or 7-0 lead. And then after that, Alamo Heights pretty much took over the game. They won, I think it was 21-7, but it was interesting watching it because, they use Michael Terry a lot as a decoy. If you have to, assign 2 or 3 guys just to cover Michael Terry wherever he is on the field, that opens up other people. And so I think they were trying to take advantage of that, but they still threw it to Terry a lot. They would line him up in the backfield at running back, out at receiver. He played some wildcat quarterback. He had 2 goal line touchdown runs, so that was kind of the extent of his scoring. And he's their punter as well. He had a couple nice punts also. But yeah, the game was never really in question. They had it in control for most of it, and he looked like a 5-star recruit. He was very tough for them to bring down. They'd give it to him on like a tunnel screen. He would take it for 20, 30 yards before they could bring him down. It was a man amongst boys, for Michael Terry that game. So, I think you can see why, he's such a unique prospect in that, he can do all those things. He can go play wide receiver. He can come play running back. He can punt. I mean, not that he's going to punt at the college level, but, he's just a unique prospect where we've, kind of heard that the Texas pitch is, he's a Jordan Whittington. He's a Roshan Johnson. He's a Jatavian Sanders. He's kind of all these things. So, they're going to find a way to get him involved. And I think he likes that with Texas. I think he likes, kind of their pitch in that regard. And, I asked him, if he does end up picking Texas, why could he see himself there? And he said, it's all about the coaching. And he said, he's seen what the coaches have been able to do, how they get their playmakers the ball. and that stands out to him. So, we thought he would commit in August. Here we are in early September. He hasn't done that yet. He told me he's going to wait until December. Now at this point, he wants to take some more visits. He was at Nebraska last weekend after that game for that Colorado game. Jordan Scruggs just reported on Horns 24/7. He's actually going to be in Austin this weekend for the UTSA game. And then he's planning on being back for the Georgia game. And he also wants to get to Oregon at some point. So, will all this happen? I think, it's still kind of fluid, but I think Texas is still in a good spot. He said he's talking to Texas the most. AJ Milwauee's heading up that recruitment, but of course, a guy like him that can play so many different positions, he's talking to a lot of the coaches. So it was a good visit, and I think Texas is in good shape there.
What, Hank, what did you, first of all, anything else top of the Texas football recruiting notebook?
Yeah. So, Jose asked that question, and that's a good thing because
sorry.
Yeah, he's announced. Zalis Hicks is announcing tomorrow, and I actually just posted some intel up on Horns 24/7. He is a 2026. He's a composite 5-star. We have him as a 4-star on 24/7 Sports, but nonetheless, elite safety in the class of 2026. He's announcing his college commitment 2:00 Central Time tomorrow, so Thursday. And ever since that news broke that he's announcing this week, we've been, chasing that news. And, all week we've been saying, there's Texas buzz. There's a feeling that Texas is in the mix, and not just because, they've had so much success recruiting. I think they've, in the last few weeks, I think they've done a really good job recruiting Zalis Hicks. So he's from Carrollton, Georgia. We've been checking in with sources, and there's not like a definitive answer we're really getting, but all the signs you kind of see are they point to Texas. And to answer Jose's question, yes, he is a take in 2026. He's a take in 2025. So he has a spot in the class. And I say that because he might reclassify. That's actually something that could be in the works for him. And I think it's interesting when you look at Texas's situation is they get Jonah Williams. He's committed. There's not another safety in the class of 2025. They're really recruiting. They passed on Nathan Tillman. A few other guys have gone elsewhere. And since that time, we saw Cade Phillips obviously flip to LSU. Since that time, we haven't seen Texas really pick it up with any other safeties. So if you look at a guy like Zalis Hicks, maybe there's, the feeling that, if he does commit, we're going to get him in 2025. There's our other safety. So that's something to watch. Another interesting note with him, and we reported on this when he camped back in June, he has family in Texas. His aunt lives in Dallas. He told us his parents are going to move to Texas when he goes to college, regardless of where he goes. So you would think, going to Texas would probably play into that, that would be helpful for his parents to come see him. And then, just checking with other programs, Auburn, who's kind of seen as the top competition. There isn't a lot of confidence on that side. Same thing with Tennessee, same thing with Clemson, and same thing with Georgia. So, if you're trying to look for signs, a lot of them are pointing to Texas. We'll see tomorrow at 2:00. I would pick Texas. I think that's the team to beat. Again, he's been to campus twice this year, has family here. Texas needs another safety in this class, assuming he reclasses. But yes, he is a take, and he's a top target at that.
Hank, which players who are committed in the 2025 class that you've seen, even though the season's pretty early still, take kind of a jump to where they look better in their senior year than they did their junior or sophomore year?
Yeah, I think the guy that comes to mind first, and we've posted about him, is Elijah Bo Barnes at Skyline. I mean, this kid is, 2 games into this season. I don't have his stats pulled up right now, but I've written about it so much. I think it's 29 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks. He has a pick 6. He's played offense. He's been all over the field for Skyline, and, he's a top 100 recruit. So, he's already highly ranked. I think he could, make a case for top 50, if not higher, by the end of the cycle. He's playing at that level. If he keeps that up, and obviously, his district, he has a lot of opportunities to be seen and, make big plays against big-time players. So I think Bo Barnes has been a guy that is a stock-up guy. Jonah Williams, he's already ranked the number 1 or number 7 overall player in the country. That might be too low because he's just been crushing it through 2 games. The first play of the season, he returned the kickoff for a touchdown. He returned another kickoff for a touchdown last week that got called back for a hold. He had several other big plays. I don't have the stats pulled up right in front of me, but he's been a big one. But I think this past week, the guys that are maybe stood out the most were Texas's running back commits. And Let me pull up the stats just so I give them enough credit because I've been texting people about it. So who I'm talking about, Ricky Stewart, obviously from Chapel Hill and Tyler, and then James Simon from Shreveport, both of Texas's running back commits. Last Friday, James Simon's season opener, 19 carries for 255 yards and a touchdown, 6 catches for 106 yards and 2 additional touchdowns. That's James Simon. Ricky Stewart, who Jordan Scruggs went to see last Friday, 25 carries for 101 yards and a touchdown, 2 catches for 99 yards and a touchdown. So both of those guys are showing, Texas covets running backs that can run the ball and can catch the ball out of the backfield. I don't know how much more you can show that than what those two did last weekend. So I think they probably had the most impressive week. We'll see if they can keep that pace up throughout the year. But yeah, so 4 guys I think are really standing out early among Texas commits.
Well, Hank, what I'll ask you first for your biggest takeaway from Texas, Michigan. What impressed you most, or what stood out most? And then we'll ask for a follow-up on Isaiah Harwell.
Cool. Yeah. Texas, Michigan. I mean, I think just what didn't stand out? I mean, they went up there and just took care of business. I guess the poise, I feel like that's coach speak or something, but they were dialed in. It didn't even get the feeling that they were on the road, and I wasn't there obviously, but it didn't seem like that fazed them at all. That first drive when they're facing a third down and Quinn Ewers hits Isaiah Bond for that big pickup, I felt just watching the game at that point, I was like, that they can take care of it. They can win this game. Even when the touchdown gets called back from DeAndre Moore's catch on Cam Williams' hold, even at that point, you felt like Texas was very much in control of that. And so I think just their overall poise, it felt like they let off the gas a little bit. And I think Steve Sarkisian has kind of said, we're still looking at, what's the quote, 60 minutes of hell or whatever.
60 minutes of hell.
Yeah, for the opponent. So, I think they left some points on the table in terms of what they could have done. But going into Ann Arbor, snapping whatever, the 21-game home streak, whatever it was, 19-game home streak, I mean, that's one of the more impressive wins I can think of. Defending national champions. I mean, there's all sorts of things you can kind of credit them on. But yeah, the poise, I think just how in sync Quinn Ewers is with his receivers. These are all new receivers for the most part. And, he seems like he's really found a good rhythm with Matthew Golden. Isaiah Bond is playing up to his billing. Gunnar Helm, looks like he could be a high round draft pick. With the way he's playing. So I think just overall that's what caught my eye the most.
Well, and Isaiah Harwell visited, I don't know that we followed up on, 5-star shooting guard for Rodney Terry. Any feedback on that? Yeah.
So, I think he did make the visit. I think it went well. Entering the trip, Houston was kind of seeming as the team to beat. And what's interesting, he's announcing his decision tomorrow. So I've been checking in on that this week. So Harbaugh hasn't done an interview with us. I don't know if that's kind of a tell that, he doesn't want to go to Texas. I don't know. But I don't think there's been a final decision given. So I think that's, there's still recruiting being done. Obviously he's announcing tomorrow. I don't think it's going to be Texas. Visit went well, but I think Houston probably had the inside track and has held on to it. So, still got them on campus, still were able to host them. And again, things can change. Basketball, we don't see a lot of basketball flips usually. So, he's not signing tomorrow, but, so we'll see. But I don't think it's going to be Texas. One I do think Texas probably has a better chance at is Kingston Fleming.
I knew it, Hank.
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, they were on campus this past weekend. So Texas was obviously gone, but they still, want to utilize these September weekends. Obviously, we look at June as the big official visit weekend for football. September is kind of the big official visit for month for basketball, just because it's kind of their last chance before their own seasons start. They can really go see these schools. In basketball, you could take 2 official. The official visit calendar for basketball is so hard to follow because you can take 2, one your junior year, one your senior year. So, but Kingston Fleming was on campus. I think that went well. Well, actually, after I get off of here, I'm talking to his dad, so we'll have an interview up on how their experience was. But I heard it went well. Obviously, he's from San Antonio. He's close by. think that probably plays into Texas's favor. But in terms of, his recruitment, Gonzaga, Houston, Texas Tech are kind of the main competition for Texas there. But yeah, we'll have more on him on Horns 24/7.